Right, well, hello everybody. Hello from Bangkok. Obviously, I cannot be there for my dear old dad's funeral, but my thoughts are with you that are there and all my other brothers and sisters and the rest of my family. Obviously, the passing of my father is a sad moment, but it's life. And let us remember that he had a good life, 90 years old, and passed away peacefully in his sleep, surrounded by proficient medical staff and a family that loved him and took care of him. So that is something which is not reserved for a lot of people in this life, I'm afraid. So we should be grateful that he had that. And of course, a lot of the thanks for that situation will go to the ladies in our family, i.e. my mum, Barbara, and Julia, who took care of my dad to their detriment as far as their health and their minds were concerned, and it must have been very difficult. But thank you very much, ladies, for doing that. And I'm sure Dad appreciated it, and I certainly do appreciate it greatly. Dad always taught me, well, I always had respect for Dad. Naturally, I have respect for my parents. And I think Dad was a good father. I was happy in the way he brought me up. Obviously, he was a bit strict sometimes, but being strict doesn't do anybody any harm, especially these days. And he taught us how to eat properly, very important for a Victorian father. Get your elbows off the table, make your back straight. No eating peas on the back of on the underside of your fork. You have to use the back of your fork. I couldn't understand that, but I always did. As I said, I always respected my father, and now that he's gone, I'm happy that that was the case. I must say there have been some times when certain members of our family, who will remain nameless, have been totally lacking in respect for my father and for my mother, actually. And I hope that they're not choking on those memories now when they see that my father's gone. And I hope that that serves as a reminder that we should always respect our parents, because one day they won't be here anymore. That's enough said about that. The people know who they are. Anyway, I recently saw an advert for an app which you can use to look up the number one song on your birthday. So I looked up Dad's birth date, which was the 31st of December 1929. It makes you realise how long ago that was. Hell of a long time. Right at the time of the Depression. And the number one song at Dad's birthday was Making Whoopee. And it looks like he took that literally, because he married a beautiful lady and produced 5 children. Nice big family. The earliest memory, which I should have but don't really, is when Mum and Dad lived at the flats in Holbury near Esso, where Dad spent a lot of his working life. And I picked up a cat, a stray cat. Mum said, "Don't touch that," and Dad said it's okay. Of course, the cat scratched me, left me with a scar here, which I've had all my life. So, I don't remember because I was too young to remember, but when I see it in the mirror, I think of that. After the flats, Mum and Dad moved to the Shutters in Butts Ash Lane in Dibden Purlieu. And I remember we had a nice garden, and Dad used to come home from work at lunchtime sometimes, which was great. He lived so close. And in the evenings, of course. And he used to play with me. I remember running around the garden, using the climbing frame, and racing around on my bicycle at the time. Certainly very good memories. After that, we moved to Welbeck, 35 Welbeck Avenue in Highfield, which basically was the home for the family for most of our lives. Actually, during my years at Portswood, one day my dad came home and said, "Right, this year we're going on a holiday to France," which was fantastic. I remember writing an essay about it in English because I was so excited. And that's basically one of the main things which I think Dad changed my life. He introduced me to France and the rest of the family, and in my case it stuck very strongly, and I made my life over there. I've always loved France. I know Dad loved it, so thanks Dad for doing that. After that, I suppose I started to get older. I went to King Edward's, and I did a lot of sport, and Dad used to come and pick me up very, very often in the evenings after my sport, and we used to drive home together in the car, get home, have tea, then he said, "Right Mark, upstairs, got your homework to do." So I'd go out and do my homework, and the prize every week for doing my homework and being a good boy, in inverted commas, was that on Thursdays I was allowed to stay up later, because on Thursdays at 9 o'clock they showed the Sweeney on television. So just me and my dad, just the two of us, sat down in the lounge and watched the Sweeney. My dad was always having a glass of brandy or Calvados, a habit which he maintained throughout the whole of his life. And as the music to the Sweeney was starting at the end, just the shutdown music, Dad was already saying, "Go on up to bed. You got school in the morning." But it was great memories. That's it really. I mean, I'd say France was our first holiday. Pirou Plage near Coutances in Normandy, in La Manche, where Mum often still goes back there for nice weekends. We had a lovely holiday there. And then for the rest of my life, as I said, I knew Dad in mainly happy times. The only unhappy time for him, the hardest time, was because there was work dried up in the UK in his particular field, and he had to work abroad, and he went to work in Libya, of all places. I remember taking him down regularly to the station at St Denis on a Monday morning in the cold with the car not starting, having to push it down Welbeck Avenue and get him to the station to get his train to Gatwick and then his plane to Libya. The poor old boy, he worked hard to provide for his family, and hats off Dad. That's, in my view, that's what a man does, and thank you very much for doing it. As I said, I was lucky to see Dad in mostly good times, because before I lived abroad a long way, I used to just come home for Christmas and Easter, which were happy times. And then living abroad, we came home also for Easter and Christmas, but Dad used to come and see us in France very often. So thinking back of all the best memories I've got of Dad over all the years, in no particular order, I'd say one is his great breakfasts. His grilled breakfast was the best in the world. I remember him walking around in the kitchen in Welbeck with a salami in his pocket, because it was Luke's salami, and no one was allowed to touch it. Everybody remembers that. That's a very funny anecdote, I'm sure you'll remember. Playing games after lunch on Sundays at Welbeck. Pictionary, which always descended into a great farce as Dad got drunker and drunker. And then playing Duck Fuzzy or Fuzzy Duck, which Dad often got wrong because of the wine. So when he got wrong, he said, "Oh, blast." That was very funny. He used to come and see the rugby with me in Paris very often. France against England was our favourite. The English fans modified the French national anthem, La Marseillaise, in its chorus, and modified it to say "Où est le papier?" It was a rude song, and Dad picked up on that, and he always used to start singing that when we got home to my apartment in Paris, and waking all the neighbours up, shouting "Où est le papier?" which was great fun. I was very proud of him. He used to come down on holiday with us. Actually, we used to have one holiday a year, and rather than being selfish and saying I wanted to do it on my own, we always took Dad with us. We took him very often to Menton or to Monaco. Biarritz, used to come down for the Biarritz Cup. Every year he used to come over, like 10 years in a row he came over for France-England, the golf competition that I organised. He had a great time there. It was one of his favourite times of the year. He came to see me in Los Angeles with Arlene. Spent a nice time there, a holiday, driving through the national parks in California. Came to the opening party for my show, met Barbara Streisand. He was very happy about that. Came to see us in Marrakesh. We had some lovely times as well. I think probably the last nice time I had with Dad, remembering him in full health, was when he was with Arlene, and I took them both to Rick Stein's restaurant in Sandbanks. We had a lovely meal together. They're very healthy, very happy. I gave Julia a picture. I hope she's put it in the album. So that's it, really. So I'm afraid time has come to say goodbye, Dad. Once again, yeah, I have a drink on you, of course. You'll be very proud of me for having a drink. French wine, the best. So, thanks, Dad, for giving us a good life, being a good family man, taking care of your family, and thanks for all the memories. Thank you for introducing us to France once again, and rest in peace. See you soon. Well, not that soon, I hope. Probably in about 30 years' time if I make it to your age. But I'll see you one day up there, wherever you are. All the best. Cheers.